So since the COVID-19 pandemic, a lot of organisations now operate either a hybrid model or fully remote working. And that has brought different challenges in itself, because a lot of those assets that you may have had in your office, such as laptops, such as phones, everyone was all within the one building. It was much easier to manage. So it was. Now with people being outside the office, having control of those assets and those devices and the data that sits outside of your organisation is crucial. And when you think of it from a cyber security perspective, it's very important to look at how do you first of all identify those assets and how do you secure them. Some top tips that I would always suggest to any organisation is think about those points of entry. So think about email as a primary point. Do you have your emails hosted in a secure location? Are they backed up? Do you have mechanisms like multi-factor authentication, strong passwords? Because those are very easy mechanisms for hackers to break into your system. Other things would include endpoints. So when we talk about endpoints, we're talking about laptops and desktops and phones and tablets. They're all internet facing. They can all be exploited if they're not kept fully up to date. So patched with the latest Microsoft updates, or if it's an Apple device or an Android, just making sure that you have mechanisms in place to keep them fully up to date and I suppose fill those gaps where there's security loopholes. Make sure that you have some basic security on those endpoints. For a long time, antivirus has been a very common tool set that's been rolled out to a lot of those assets. The problem is that's simply not enough now, and we have to think about what is beyond that, particularly with those assets that are no longer in your building. So I would just think about how do you improve the posture of all those devices that are sitting on home networks. You may also want to think about looking at your VPN strategy. Do you have one? How do those devices connect into your corporate network? So there's some really simple tips and ideas just to get started there. Over and above that, what I would encourage is that you look at some sort of framework. There's a very common framework called Cybersecurity that will bring you to a fairly comfortable baseline in terms of your security. That's something that we can help with in Vanter, and if you wanted some assistance around that, it would typically involve a very simple audit and help you identify any of those gaps.